right? So setting rules, who we support. There are certain things we got to stop and just say, if you're doing that, brother, we can't rock with you. All my friends take care of their children. And if you do not take care of your children, you can't come around us. Now, mind you, I don't have many friends, but all of my friends take care of their children. And we set rules and boundaries for our friendships. Take care of your kids, because your son might be the one I got to blow his head off in the Walmart parking lot because he tried to rob me. Take care of your kids, because I don't want to have to kill him because he lost. Take care of your kids. It's very important. So we set rules in our culture. Sexual and financial discipline. We need to conserve our energy. There are a million things that we could do other than doing gymnastics on top of each other every night. There are many different things we can do. I like gymnastics. I like to do flips and everything, but there are many different things we could be doing. All right? Connect our culture to an economic base. If we don't control it, we don't buy it. We don't support it if we don't control it. I'm telling you, Jews in a heartbeat, they'll scream. Jewish people will look at something and say, it's not kosher. I'm not buying it. I'm not doing it. And if they do got to spend money with you, they cheap. Because they want to give you the least amount of their money as they can. They're not like that with each other. Don't think they would like that with each other. But with us and everybody else, they penny pinching. They penny pinching because they understand this money got to stay in my community. Because I don't want my children out there robbing and stealing and killing. I'm going to say one thing about the church community, or the black church community, is that our goodness and our love and our lack of seeing color is one of the problems that we have in our community. Because when we don't see color, we don't see our black children starving. We don't see our black children being lost. We worried about everybody else's children. And our goodness fuels our badness, and our badness fuels their success. The people who pray the most got the most children in prison. The people who pray the most got the most children in prison. This is a fact. Because we have not realized that we are at war, a racial war, and it starts with the black man. So when we don't see color and we don't focus on color, like God created color. I'm not going to disrespect the creator. He made color for a reason. And I'm going to walk around here and deny him or her blessing and giving me the sight of color and say, I don't see color. That's crazy. And that's insane. If the creator created it, he created it for a reason. Or she created it for a reason, whatever your belief is. We can't be running around here being crazy. Because white folk ain't crazy. Think about how crazy we are to tell white folk, see me as a human, don't see me as a color. And they looking dead in your face and say, Negro, how am I do that? You're black. And I see you as black. They might play around with you and act like they don't see color, because we got to understand, in this system, because it is a system, Europeans play two things: good cop, bad cop. That's just what they play. And it works the same. Because the objective is what? We both cops, take them to jail. I'm going to be nice to them, but the objective is taking them to jail. The good cop might going to say, wait, but he confessed, so let's let him go. The good guy going to say, all right, now turn around, put the cuffs on. You be like, dang, you was so nice to me. You brought me McDonald's. That's the same thing in society. White people, good white people, bad white people. It's the same damn thing. To keep you confused and lost, and the white liberal ain't no different from the racist. They're worse. The Democrat, no different. Democrats, look what Joe Biden is doing. I would rather have the racists that let me know he racist and we could get some money up off him, because them checks was coming. Them stimulus checks was coming when Trump was in office. They were coming. I would rather have the open racists than the so-called good, benign racists who passed the 94 crime bill, locked up more black men than were enslaved. But he smiled and he danced with us when he come to the church. He serves chicken at his meetings. And we don't see that because he's a good white cop. The objective is still the same. It's still the same. Good one, bad one, they all the same. To control and maintain power by any means necessary. Trickery, whatever. We got to understand that. And I know that's hard for some people to take in, but it's the truth. Yes. And we have to deal with the truth. We're not going nowhere without the truth. The truth shall set you free. Mentally free. To do things that are freeing and liberating. But when you condition yourself to believe a certain thing, and we have been conditioned, we ain't going nowhere. The truth shall set you free, and we got to deal with that devil for who that devil is. Sad to say it, for who that devil is. Elijah Muhammad said the white man is the devil. Now, was he saying he was a literal devil? No. He was saying his characteristics are devilish. Every continent them crackers stepped on, the population cut in half. Native Americans cut in half. Africans taken, enslaved everywhere they went. There's a group of people called the Tasmanians in Australia. They don't even exist anymore. They don't even exist anymore. Everywhere they went, they brought death, destruction, dishonor, everything to a community. And disease, and definitely disease. So if we're not seeing it for what it is at this point, I'm not sure. And I think that's about it. I thank y'all for your time. I appreciate y'all. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. So race-based education, we need a race-based education, right? That is very, very important because education is survival. When we talk about these African tribes, where they out there teaching the children how to make spears and the women how to make the pots out of clay, what they're teaching them is how to survive. That's what education is, survival. Europeans, when I was growing up, they had something called home economics, and they had wood shop. That was teaching you how to survive, how to cook, how to take. They removed those things out, right? They removed them out. Education is survival. I don't care how many degrees you have. If you are not educating your people to survive and sustain themselves, you are miseducated. You are miseducated. You went to school and got 13 degrees for no reason. Malcolm ain't getting out 1 degree, but he came out here and told the truth and what it's supposed to be. Intelligence is the ability to solve a problem. That's how we judge intelligence, the ability to solve a problem. One of the problems that we have is racism. So I don't care how intelligent you think you are by going to get the degrees from his school. If you aren't dealing with this race issue, you're going to have to question your intelligence. You have to question that. Now, sorry to say that, but we got to question that. All right, so provide, educate, protect, and then anything outside of that is a bonus. It's a bonus. I mean, in relationships, it's nice to take a vacation here and there, but it ain't mandatory. It shouldn't be mandatory. I mean, we all need to rewind and things like that and relax, but this society now, the way things are going, people think that when you get in a relationship, I'm responsible for your happiness. How am I responsible for your happiness? I can't make you happy. We're supposed to be happy and then come together and then be happy together. We get people saying, you don't make me happy. I don't know how. What am I supposed to do? You're supposed to be happy already. And then we be happy together. That's one of the biggest problems we have. And then men fall into that. And then we overcompensate, giving women gifts and all these things, these trips, and then women still ain't happy. Sorry, women. I'm sorry. But we can't make them happy. And then the women can't make us happy on the other end because they doing all the things that we want, and then we still out there cheating. Still out there doing what we're doing, you know. And I say cheating in the sense of the European way of cheating because Africans innately are prone, some parts are prone to having more than one woman. I didn't create it. I didn't make it up. I agree with it to certain degrees, but it's something that Africans practice, polygamy. Africans practice polygamy, right? During war times, there's an African proverb that says that no woman should be without a husband and no child should be without a father. We have a problem in America. We have more women than we have men. And the men we do have are incarcerated, miseducated, in the streets, on drugs. So at some point, we got to say, maybe this one man, one wife thing ain't the way to go. Maybe it's not. Because think if one righteous man could come into a community and take on 3 or 4 women who has children by other men, right? Because polygamy is not about some sexual orgy. It's about creating a society and a community of a family, right? A lot of elder women will tell you they had outside children. The men had outside children. We know that back in the days. And they would take care of both families. That's who we are. That's who we are. Right? But we've been given this idea of one man, one wife. Okay, we can deal with that, but it ain't working. So we're going to live in reality or we're going to live in what's true. Only 2% of men are really meritable. Financially, mentally, 5%. I say 5%. Financially, like let's be real. We got a huge homosexual problem, mass incarceration, drugs, people dropping dead, crazy in the head. Now, how many black men out here is really marriageable? They can take on a family and sustain that family. So we have to look at it and say, well, the women have to look at it and say, okay, honey, I'm allow you to have a second wife. I get to pick her. Because you ain't going to be picking all the sexy girls in the community and getting all the butter biscuits and all that. I get to pick her because it's not about how she looks. It's about you educating her and educating these children. Right? That's what it's about. It ain't about this. But because we've been so Europeanized, once we hear polygamy, oh, you just want to have sex. You just want to have all the girls in the world. No, it's about community. It's a very communal thing to be polygamous. Very communal. So that's a conversation for another date, another time. I appreciate y'all for y'all time. I truly do. Appreciate for y'all time. Oh, yeah, that was the last slide.
We'll open it up to any questions. If anybody has any questions about this time or anything they'd like to share, we'll at this time. What's the first solution?
Defining our culture. What is our culture?
What do we do?
As a group in here, it starts with individually connecting with the people next to you, right? So I say Africa is everywhere the Africans are. So Africa starts in your home, and then it spreads out. So starting with teaching your children, teaching your partner. Elijah Muhammad says, my first convert was my wife. The first person that he got into the Nation of Islam was his wife. So it starts with that way, with branching out, right? And then for the younger generation, obviously using social media as a platform because, you know, the days of knocking on people's door and trying to get them converted is over. But using all avenues that we have to sign them. Yes. Connecting with the family. Well, family. Connecting with the family. That's the basic answer I can give. Connecting with the family. Yeah. You got nieces, nephews, great-grandchildren, educating them on these things. Yeah, it starts with the enlightenment process. Once you know, you do. And all won't accept, but that's fine too. But it starts with educating. Like we're all satellites of information. So how many times we hear people say things like, oh, I heard from this person. So we start saying things that we want them to pass on. That's positive and productive.
See, what I meant was when I said in this room, I meant how we share that information. You made a statement you didn't know how to get a Section 8.
Yeah.
I know you might have been a little...
Yes, joking, yes, sir.
That's true. A lot of people don't. And they all think it's for a female to get a Section 8 voucher.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. There's a program for getting housing for a vet, and then you have more than one Section 8 voucher in the house and have an income. Those brothers and sisters have a house. So a lot of people, some of us don't.
That all of us don't know, correct.
How can we start?
Yeah, share it. You have to share that information. You have to share that information. That information has to be shared. Yes. Yes, sir. Come on, black man. You the youngest here, and you are the generation. Because I'm gonna tell you what happens, right? I'm gonna tell you what happens because I've been down that road, right? As you grow older, things begin to happen, right? And then you look back and say, oh, nobody cared about me for real. Nobody, but people have cared about you. People have cared about you. It may not have been the way you wanted it to be, but people have cared about you. Like the idea of your parents lecturing you to do the right thing, right? It can be annoying. Like, man, why are you talking to me like that, man? I ain't trying to hear all that. But that is really them telling you to do the right thing because they have a positive outlook for you, right? One of the things that the Europeans have introduced to us is self-hatred. Self-hatred. The way we pick our friends is through self-hatred. We hang around the people who smoke because they ain't gonna tell us to do the right thing. We want to hang around, oh, he smoked. But when somebody come around, hey man, y'all need to be smoking that stuff. Oh man, you boring, man. You ruining my fun, man. You ruining my good time. Come around here talking that good old stuff. It don't even gotta be about religion. Just the idea of you shouldn't be smoking because it's killing you. You shouldn't be drinking. We pick our friends based off our self-hatred. We pick our friends based off our self-hatred. He gonna help me cheat. He gonna lie to my girl when my girl come, and my homegirl's gonna lie to my man and tell my man I was over there. We pick our friends off of self-hatred. That's one of the things the Europeans introduced to us, the idea of self-hatred, of hating ourselves. And everything that we do is a reflection of that. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
What's your perspective on the Second Amendment?
As I said, I believe in gun control. Control your gun. I believe that black men should arm themselves. I am a firm component of a believer in having guns. I believe in equality. right? I believe in equality for all. I believe that black people need to learn the equality. We need the equal amount of guns as white people. That's the type of equality I believe in, right? Because these white children at 5 and 6 are shooting down range with rifles. They showing them how to shoot and hunt. And our children doing dances on TikTok. Don't know nothing about a gun. And they getting shot accidentally because they finding our guns in the homes. So I believe in gun control. Control your gun. Put it in the right place at the right time when we need it. Point it at the right person. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
When you said that you don't gossip, and a lot of times men say about how women gossip.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my husband and I have been married like 49 years now. And he has said that a couple of times about the gossip thing. But you know what? We don't call it gossiping when we're sharing. It's a sharing.
Mm-hmm.
If more men would share with each other instead of looking at it as, man, my wife just said this and this is gossiping, and don't you hear them ladies over there? They just But you know what? We be talking about, Rachel, you got a endocrinologist and so and so. We have Bible study. We have shared about our doctors.
Yes.
We're talking about our health, and we're talking about loving and sharing. We're talking about this, but gossip. So that gossip thing, if you men gossip more, where instead of calling it gossiping, sharing about your health and about your family and about what it needs to be done, that's a good start, I feel.
Okay, so allow me to address that. So gossiping is commentary that's negative.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes. Gossip is commentary that's negative.
Okay.
So when one young lady leaves the room, girl, did you see her shoes? Like that's gossiping,
Okay.
right? But communicating, that's different. That's communicating, communal in a sense. So gossip is different from communicating. Do men need to communicate more? Yes, we do. We harbor a lot of things. We hold a lot of things. Right now, the highest rate of suicide in the United States is young black males 15 to 24. Highest rate of suicide. Yeah. Yes, sir. It depends on what you're doing it for. Because when I look at Iraqis and they blowing themselves up for what they believe in, I can agree with that. I can say do what you need to do. We have Africans who were being enslaved who would jump overboard and drown themselves because they would not be enslaved. But if a girl break up with you and you put a gun in your mouth, that's weak. You will find love again. You'll find love again. So it depends on what you're doing it for. Europeans, Dylan Roof, when he went to that church and shot those 9 people in church, that was called social suicide. He was becoming a martyr for white supremacy. One of the things that he said when they were interviewing him is that these niggas are taking our women. And he wanted to start a race war. So he martyred himself. So suicide can be self-righteous. In some cultures, in Asian culture and other cultures, people commit suicide for different reasons. I'm not advocating it, but I'm saying it has its place. Yes.
I'm going to share something, which is a question, but I share this. I went to a conversation, and some of us are church.
Sir.
European Western church went to the African churches, and they had an issue around polygamy.
Okay.
And the European church said, you need to stop this polygamy. I think it was the Nigerian bishop who responded, well, we'll stop our polygamy if you stop your serial monogamy. Which is serial monogamy is divorce.
Right.
And remarried and remarried.
Right.
So that's like me, someone who's been divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 2 wives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have them all at the same time.
Right.
So the idea is when you talk about alternate solutions,
Mm-hmm.
maybe one of the best things you can do right away is to pay our child support. Take care of the baby mama children.
Right.
And stop making enemies. So it took a lot of years for me to really get in a good relationship with the ex.
Mm.
But that's a real practical thing.
Yeah. No, very practical. Very practical. Right. And we also have to stop allowing the European to be the definer of things, letting them define what is this and what is that. Because if you really want to look at it, them white pastors be the biggest ones getting caught in scandals. sex scandals, divorce scandals, right? So we got to stop letting them be the moral judge, the moral compass of society. You don't get to moralize us. You don't get to say what we should not do. You stole us from Africa. And we're not going to forget that. Also, let me add this, right? I'm sorry. Go ahead. What's your point? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, another question. I was just wondering. Go ahead, you finish.
Right. So yeah, we can't allow them to moralize on us and tell us what is righteous and wrong. Because that's like the slave master telling the slave, why are you running away? You don't determine how I get to my freedom. You don't get to determine that. When white folks say, y'all shouldn't burn down that, y'all shouldn't, that's wrong. You don't get to determine that because you're not the one that was kicked in the teeth or shot in the back. We burn it down because we know we don't own it. That's the reality of it. There is no such thing as a black community. There are black neighborhoods where black people live in, but we don't own any of the institutions. So when we burn it down, subconsciously, we know we don't own that anyway. Burn that Starbucks down. And white people don't get to decide what we burn down and what we don't burn down. Because you don't get to tell me how I get free.
What I wanted to share.
Yes, sir.
Some of you may know the situation. A few years ago, my present wife and I, we went and bore the expense of burying her ex-husband. And I never even met the guy. We buried him in some right here in this community, and we supported that. And when I did that, I thought of a friend of mine who had to take care of his wife's ex-husband, who was an abuser. And in the final days of his life, he and his wife, and he was my example of manhood, he brought this ex-husband into the house and took care of him in his 6 days after his death. And to me, he's an example of manhood to me. And so I'm still trying to make that point, because I don't want us to think that we could go to polygamy, which is what we think we're doing, but we go from here to there and everywhere.
Right.
That's not polygamy.
Right.
That's being a stud.
Right. That very much comes from a slave culture, the idea of black men making children. So if you're familiar in history, there was something called breeding farms. In the 1800s, they outlawed the transatlantic slave trade. There were so many rebellions going on in the Caribbean and the United States that they said we can no longer bring in new Africans. Let's get the Africans that we have and break them, and then we can have them believe what we want them to believe, but we're no longer bringing in new Africans. We're not going to stop slavery. We're just not bringing in new Africans because they're coming in with new ideas. They're coming in with revolutionary ideas. So they stopped that trade, right? And they created these breeding farms where they will bring black men just to have sex with women and get them pregnant so they can continuously making children. So when we go around here doing that, we are perpetrating that same system amongst ourselves, making children that we do not take care of. That is a breeding farm mentality, and we can no longer do that. Any more questions, ma'am?
Seems like the gist of all of this is that we're up against the law.
The thing about it is, it's actually not a lot. The real change comes from within.
Right, what I'm saying though is like, unlike all these other immigrants that come over, we didn't come over as immigrants. We've been here since this place started. So we're complex. You know, and when you talk to black folks, they're not all, I mean, look at this room, it's not that full. And when you talk to black folks, they're on all different pages, especially regionally. And like you said, you gotta get to the source of who's profiting off of this. And a lot of black people are profiting off of us not moving forward.
Sadly.
You know,
Sadly.
many of them are informants. We could have some in this room working for the FBI.
Right.
We had one, he left.
I'm sorry.
He was out and started taking down license plate numbers. I mean, look, I'm making jest, but that is a reality.
Right.
When you look at
Right.
a lot of black communities that are struggling, and the black people who are politically elected to take care of these communities, and they know how to hem and haw. They know black people. They know we're an emotional people. They know we're here. They know that we can be very simple and forgiving, and they're just leading us to the shooting range. it's just like, how do we get, knowing everything that we're up against, just even from our own, how do we take this narrative and kind of replace the one that's out there right now of just kind of like individualism, hyper hustle at any cost, especially at the expense of ourselves, and make this one more attractive, because right now it's just not getting much traction, right?
Right.
We see what's getting traction.
Right.
The ditties, the hosts, that's what we love. You know, the entertainers, the athletes, that's what we love. How do we get this message that we're speaking of today to become one when we're up against those kind of optics and that kind of, that's more it is. Because, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but half of this room might not be here in 20 years. So, what then? You know what I'm saying? Like,
so let me address one thing at a time. The youth is our greatest weapon that we have. But let me address. So I didn't say this earlier. I am of Haitian descent, right? My mother is Haitian. My father is from Benin, from the continent. So I'm a first generation person, immigrant born here. I recognize that I may not have the same lineage to this country that someone else has who's been here 5, 6, 7, 8 generations, right? What we have to understand is racism is such a unique system. And I'm addressing one of the first things you said about African Americans. I'm going to use that term, African Americans, being a distinct, unique group of people because they've been here since the inception of this country. Very, very true. The thing about this system in racism is that it works differently in different places. And it creates what it needs to maintain itself. So when you had the decolonization of Africa, we had Africans fighting against the European powers. That's why you can go to Africa and they speak Portuguese because the Portuguese colonized them. You go to some parts of Africa, they speak English, they speak Spanish, French, right? So they were kicking the Europeans out. It's like, you guys got to go, you guys are messing up the country, et cetera, or the continent, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't mean that the Europeans left though. Because I'm going to tell you this, every one of us has a white man living inside of us. Or a white woman living inside of us. And this is why white people can be in Europe and still control Africa and not be there. Because they already planted the mindset. There's a woman named Queen Nzinga, right? She fought against the Portuguese for 40 years. At one point, the Portuguese said, we'll stop fighting you, we'll stop attacking you, if you convert your village to Christianity. If you convert your and put a white, when you go to Africa, you're going to see a number of white Jesuses all around Africa and white images all around Africa. So the fight of racism looks different. It looks different on different fronts. Here, it's in your face. It's right down the soil. In Africa, it's neo-colonialism. It's controlling from a distance. In the Caribbean, it's controlling from a distance. When you go to the Caribbean, most of the people who are in power, white or mixed race. And that's not to knock but it's the reality. It's the reality. The majority is black people, and then you have a small majority of whites and mulattoes who are running these countries. It's a fact. That goes into the part where I was talking about sex in the system of racism and white supremacy. They create these children who have identity issues, and they cater to the white side and become destructive. Now, I'm not saying that there have not been mixed race people who have done great things. We're going to acknowledge that. But the overall has been setting back to the black population, right? And we got to recognize that. We got to recognize that as black men. We can't be taking white women as you're not a black man if you got a white wife. I do not recognize you as a black man if you have a white wife, and vice versa. No, I do not. Because my mother raised me. I got nurtured from black women. I got corrected by black women, right? Sometimes wrong, right? So I owe black women a debt. And the greatest debt I could give to them is marry a black woman. Because we know most black women ain't getting married anyway. That's betrayal. That's racial betrayal to me. And also, I just want to say this. Everyone's not going to get it. We have a European mindset where because one thing the European is very insecure. Very, very insecure. When Africans ruled the world, we never forced our religion on people. We never forced our beliefs and things like that. We got along with the Asians. We shared. We were very loving people. The European is very insecure. The European says you got to think like me, act like me, dress like me, be like me, worship the God that I worship. I am more comfortable when you are like me. This is why they don't like our children speaking Ebonics. which is an African language with European words. The way we say things, Europeans don't say it like that. Europeans say, I am going to the store. We say, I'm going to go to the store. If you understand African language, the words blending, the words we're using are English, but the way they blend is African. It sounds like we're singing. It sounds like we're singing, we talk. Yeah, man, you know, I'm finna go over there, blah, blah, blah. That's from the Mississippi to the Ghanaian to the way we speak is very African. Europeans don't like that because it's still deep down inside of us. So we have this thing where we have to force everybody to think what we think. No, okay, it's okay. Believe what you believe in as long as you're not going against what I believe in and black unity and black things. Believe whatever you believe in. I have no problem with Christians, I have no problem with Muslims. The problem I have is when you let your religion be a source of cowardice, when you hide behind your religion and you hide behind the idea that Arabs are your friends. When we know in Africa, they're still enslaving Africans over there to this day and using the religion. So that's the problem I have with it. We don't have to get everybody. We just need enough. We need enough to make a dent in what we need to make a dent in. Everybody's not going to get it, and that's the sad part about it.
I have to ask this question.
Yes, sir.
As a clergyman, as a Christian clergyman who has been through the Pan-Africanist movement,
Yes, sir.
been exposed to much of African nationalism, etc., sat down with many of the early leaders, and also came to the church. So I'm very well aware of how the Christian faith, like other faiths, has been saddled and used by imperialism.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, you know, through our own personal experience, I've come to faith. I've come to faith in Christ, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yet I know that the Christian church has a history. In fact, as a young man, I left the church for the same reasons. I saw how the church was used in the enslavement of colonization of black people. And now I know the church today, first century church, is burdened by imperialism.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Burdened. But yet, the black church, if you look at the history of the black church in particular, it has also been one of the most forceful organizations in the history of liberating black people in our society, even as it has been burdened by this imperialism. So we reinterpreted some of the scriptures to begin to understand. We went to the liberation theology, etc. I want you to comment a little bit more because I see this disconnect, especially in the younger generation, of just totally rejecting the church.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, they're throwing us the baby with the bathwater. But I just want you, how do we connect as a church body? Because I think we're losing a lot of young people because they see us as irrelevant, hypocritical, being used by the white man, whitewash, brainwash, whatever these words are. And that's a rupture in our society. Where the church, and in the same way in the church.
Yes.
How can we rebuild those bridges?
Solutions. People respond to solutions. So we have given our generation a hope for the sky in the pie. I mean the pie in the sky. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to. Their mother was on drugs. Their father was in prison. They need to see solutions. The church produces about, I could be wrong with some numbers, but $40 million each Sunday, right? And it's not, in a sense, benefiting the black community at all. The money's not going back into the black community. They need to see solutions. And the people gravitate toward things when they see progress towards things. If they don't see the progress, then you just selling me the pie in the sky. And I can't deal with that. I need something. And that's why they gravitate towards playing sports and making music, because they see the solution. They see, if I dribble this basketball, I can become a millionaire. That's tangible to them. If I make this song and it goes viral, I can become a millionaire. That's tangible to them. But giving them a Bible and saying, when you die, you're going to have wings is not tangible to them right now in this situation. And these children are thinking now, like, what about now? And we have to put solutions in play for those children so they can see those things.
And I'm with him. What do we call it? Like this church, I know, we have soup kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
Let the homeless come in and all that stuff. We do outreach, we do as best as we know how. But we probably need more concrete ideas. More, especially to that generation who wants, most of our churches are, we have the
past that 35 years old, when we get a little bit older,
Right.
we're not going to get carrying guns to knife anybody. We don't have that energy. The younger people, how do we, I understand what you're talking about, the pie in the sky. That's what Marx called it, the opiate of the people.
Right.
I'm not talking about selling people. I'm talking about.
But that's all we've been giving them. That's all we've been giving them the past few years is the pie in the sky. Yeah, that's all we've been giving
I think
them.
we need to provide an example.
So
We need to provide an example to young folks, and this is to address your questions and questions that I heard coming from over here. If the older generation who might not be here 20 years, I'm not going to be here now, you know, but
we gonna wish you blessings.
I have 4 children and 3 grands, right? And they need to hear what I'm thinking about.
Yes.
They need to hear what I feel. And I would challenge you too, sir, Bishop, to think about how much energy you do have. I tell you, I'm 70 years old.
Ooh.
And I know a lot of people of my age and older than me who depend themselves and their homes and their family.
Yes.
You can do that.
Take the squeeze of a trigger. Now I wanna address you. We need think tanks. Each community needs a certain level of care. What we can't throw a blanket over our problem and say, let's all do this. If your community is lacking in this, then that's what we need to focus on. So we create think tanks to organize within the community for what we need for our specific community, right? Every community is not the same, not the same at all. Also, I want to add that as being elders here, you are a library. And there's an African proverb that says when an elder passes on, a library burns to the ground. All that information goes with you. My grandmother is from Haiti. My grandmother, she's an ancestor now. She can look at any plant and tell you what that plant would do and what it's made for and then make you a tea out of it. As a child, she was trying to show me. And I was so ill. Oh, grandma, you trying to show me I want to go play basketball, I want to do this. Now I get sick and I'm asking other people's grandmas, hey, how do you make this tea? Because I got some congestion in my chest. Or how do I get, because I didn't take the time to sit down and listen to my grandma. She was a library of information. So as being elders, it is your job to say, I don't care if you want to listen. Matter of fact, you don't want to listen, I'm going to make a YouTube channel because we're in the age of YouTube. I'm going to talk to you virtually. And when you get mature enough, go back and watch my YouTube channel and see how it. One of the things that, because we have gotten this necromancy thing where we only appreciate people when they dead, because the European only appreciates you when you dead. We have gotten into that. But I can tell you one of the most hardest things. A picture means so much more to you. That's the only thing you got of a person that's no longer here. And we have to put that back into our children. Appreciate the elders. They have so much wisdom to give. They walk the road that you haven't traveled yet. Understand that. The elders are very important to a community. This is why Africans didn't have old folks' homes. They would take care of the elders until they transcended. They didn't put them away. The white folks say, grandma, you're not useful no more. Put them in the old folks' home. That's their thing. That's not our thing. When an elder passes on, a library burns down. So it's your job to, hey, tell your grandkids, come here, show me how to make a YouTube channel. Every day, get on a YouTube channel and it tells stories about the family. Because there have been cases that shown that 50% of a child's self-esteem comes from how much they know about themselves, how much they know about their family. Tell stories about great-great-grandma. We come from here. We come from this. And I remember, and when they get old enough to mature, you be like, hey, my grandma left a diary for me on YouTube. And click in your grandma's name, poof, and the diary comes up. And now they can watch and learn all about you. Because now they're not taking it in. Because it's so much sensory, it's so many phones, it's so much television. They're not taking it in. You go to concerts now, people like this. I'm like, put your phone down. Enjoy the moment. Put your phone down. When they get older, they will appreciate it. They will say, man, my grandfather left something for me. That's more than gold. You leaving that information, that's more than gold. Because me now, I be searching for pictures. I found some pictures of my great-great-grandmother, and I hold on to them things like they the last thing I got. Yes, sir.
In the conversation, you said, how can we change it?
Mm-hmm.
I've tried this a number of times in my lifetime. it always comes back to one thing. The whole thing to me is economics
Yes.
for our community. But I also know the political part of it is that we, the people, are willing to accept from our own people too much. That they take advantage of it. And
Yes.
until we develop the economics along with the ability to say, you are out of this family, get out.
Right.
You are stealing from us.
Right.
You are hurting us. You are lying to us. In other words, we have to learn how to punish those who hurt us.
Set rules, laws, and punishments. Yes.
If we don't, we're going to stay just like we are now.
Yes.
When we first got here, my wife, we were looking at television, and it said 33 million people came to Delray.
Mm.
And I was in a meeting with the elders of Delray, and I mentioned that, and they thought I was crazy. They never heard that. Because they never heard it, they didn't accept it. It came on the news, then they believed it.
Mm.
And my question was, out of that 33 million people, how much money did this black person make? Not a dime. So where's the black bank? Where's the black credit union? Where's the black business that employs black people in Delray? I can't find it. I came from a different city.
Right.
And so the thing is, until we accept our responsibility to keep each other out for not taking care of us, we've always been in this position.
Yes.
As you said, the brother said about somebody getting out,
Yeah.
you can bet somebody gonna take this, what we said today, and turn it around. And I saw that as soon as I came, because I did it on purpose. I came in saying, all this land, let's build some houses, senior housing. People were saying, what that, what do you know about that? That's because they don't know nothing about me.
Mm.
I've done it before, I know what it is. So when I tried it, now every other church and every other people who have land, well, you shouldn't try to do it by yourself. You gotta come together. There's a funding source for churches to build senior housing. The biggest need in America right now is senior housing, 202 tax credit.
Mm.
Now, somebody may not even know what that is. I do, I'm giving it away to people, right, Carlton? I explained to anybody who sit down and talk to you, right, Ray? People just don't listen. So, I just sit down, because I know it'll work. It's just that people don't wanna take the step to do it.
So one of our biggest problems being the fact that we've been socialized to connect to whiteness, right? So like there's something called word association, right? So when I say up, you say down. When I say black, you say. When I say pretty, you say. So if someone says, "Oh, you have pretty eyes," then internalizing that, you're saying that you have ugly eyes. When you say, "Oh, she has good hair," the white girl has good hair, what you're internalizing and you're saying is that you feel that you have bad hair. There's no such thing as good and bad. It's just different. She has a different texture of hair, right? But we have been socialized to believe those things. Oh, you have nice fair skin color. So what do you think about your skin color, right? This is socialization. This is how this works. So when you have a black person like me who does not own a degree, who does not have a degree, who's learned everything I've learned through self-study and the elders. I have sat at the feet of some of the greatest scholars and elders, right? And I come along and I'm giving solutions. And the black person who have been socialized to believe that only white people got the answers. That nigga don't know what he talking about. He don't know what he talking about. You ain't even go to school and get the white man degree. How you going to tell us how to build a community? Because they've been taught through television, through education, that only white people got the answers. And no Negro that ain't got no degree can't tell them nothing.
Even if you do got a degree.
Even if you do got a degree. There you go. Even if you got a degree. They can't tell you nothing. So, any more questions?
No, question, but the financial discipline, we need to get careful now because a lot of people get caught up on the Instagram, I'll make you a millionaire real quick.
Whew.
And even myself, sometimes I'll see it and I'm like, oh man, that looks interesting. And then once you start reading into it, a lot of young people especially, because the younger generation are trying to get caught up financially. They're starting to hear those words, financial education. Well, everyone, Tom, Dick, and Harry on the internet is now a financial educator. Unlicensed, whatever, but they're getting used to invest in all these stocks, all these cryptocurrencies, and some can be good, but we have to be careful. Well, not careful. We got to educate. Hey, these are your risk patterns. High risk, low risk, and things of that sort. I think that's one of the basic solutions. If we're going to be financial discipline, we need proper teachers,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe licensed. Well, I deal with a black financial, my financial advisor is a black woman, right? She's licensed, she's traded stocks, she do all these different things. And her fees is like $50 a month. And she'll look at all your stuff, and she was giving it away for free at some point, just to get black people to her table. Just so that they would say, hey, look, I am qualified
Right.
to help you, but we need proper, just throwing that out there.
You know, one of the biggest problems that we have in the community is that we think economics has something to do with money. Economics has nothing to do with money at all. Economics has to do with the relationship to the thing that you are purchasing. It has nothing to do with money, right? Let me give you an example. Europeans create an inferiority complex inside of you. You too black. I then go out and take my money, my currency, which currency is energy that I've worked for, and then I then go purchase skin bleaching cream. That has nothing to do with the money. It's the relationship to the thing that you're purchasing. We call money trust. I don't spend money with people I don't trust. I don't spend money. Money is about economics is about the relationship to a thing. The money is just the medium to it. Because how you feel about it is why you're going to spend the way you spend your money. But we get caught up in the money part about it. No, first change the feeling, and then that gives you the economics. Because black people are $1.7 trillion people. If we really want to change our situation, we could change it overnight. But the way we feel about ourselves so it has nothing to do with money. Because before we use money, we use seashells called cowrie shells in Africa. That's what currency was. Different people use different currency for things. It's the relationship to the thing that you're purchasing. So we got to change that, not the money part. We get all talk about numbers and this and that. Damn all that. It's about the relationship to the thing. Why are you buying the perm? Why are you buying the skin bleaching? Why are you buying a Mercedes that you can't pay for? Because you feel inferior in yourself. And when you get into an argument with a black person, they say, I got this and I got that, and I got this and I got that, and you ain't got that. It's the relationship to the thing. It has nothing to do with the money. Relationship. Europeans understand that. They understand, they have whole seminars on how to advertise off of emotions. Put a white girl doing like this with her hair. Pop the Pepsi. Psh, everybody smiling and laughing. And now you internalizing that, I want a Pepsi. I want to smile and laugh. Got nothing to do with the money. It's the emotion. How you feel about it. How you feel about a thing. The money is nothing. The money is a piece of paper. The money is a piece of paper. And they have played that game on us very well. Where
When you think about like Chef B and what hip hop used to be, and how now it's just a walking advertising.
Yes, that is very true. That is very, very true. Ad in the Super Bowl, right, which is one of the most watched sports, $60 million for a minute advertisement because they know all those eyes will bring in dollars. Now I'm going to say this. I've been offered the opportunity to lecture in front of white schools, universities, and things like that, right? I deny that. And the reason why I deny it is because I would rather beg 1 million Africans to beg one cracker for anything. We have the solution to all of our issues. The problem is that when we want to get something done, we feel that we need white people, and we don't. Marcus Garvey said 100 years ago, "Up, you mighty race. You can do as you will." We don't. We have all the things. The problem is, what is our relationship to it? How do we feel about it? How do we feel about it? I'm not here to change, quote from Malcolm, I am not here to change the mind of the white person. I am here to change the mind of the black person, how they relate to white people. I don't care what white people think about me. They could think I'm Negro, my hair nappy, I'm this and I'm that. I'm here to change our minds. Because when we change our minds, we move differently. That's what consciousness is, the ability to be conscious. The idea, biblical verse, where in the Bible, Genesis, the snake was said to tell Adam and Eve, if you eat from the Garden of Eden, you would have knowledge. And they did, and then they were aware. They were aware of what is taking place. right? And so God comes in and says, you now have knowledge of right and wrong, and kicks them. That's what consciousness is. The ability to see something happening and then change it or relate to that thing in such a way, right? So in this culture, we say, oh, you sleep. Sleeping, you unconscious. You don't know what's going on. You have no idea what's going on, even though that you're wide awake. And one of the ways that Europeans have utilized this strategy is through, negative and positive hallucinations. So negative and positive hallucinations is the idea that you hypnotize a person and you tell them they have a rabbit in their lap. And then they begin to stroke that rabbit, right? That is a hallucination. Now, I hypnotize that individual, and then I tell them that you're the only person in this room, and then they don't see anybody else, right? What does it mean to be hypnotized? To be under somebody's voice, to be socialized in a certain type of way, to be focused on a thing so much that you can't see anything else. That's what it means to be hypnotized, right? Now, in this society of racism, domination, we have been hypnotized to see and not see certain things. And we walking through here blind. And it takes a step to say, come here. Because with that hypnosis, right? Let's say, for example, I wanted to be a heart surgeon. A heart surgeon his brain has been trained to see certain things. Once he opens that chest up, he says, that's the aorta, that's the such and such. That when I'm looking in there, all I see is blood and hearts and guts. But his mind has been trained to see what I don't see. There are Eskimos who can spot different flakes of snow because it depends on their survival. There are people who can look at the ground and say somebody's been walking here. And they went this way. And I could smell them. And you're like, I don't see anything. They're like that. The way that leaf is broken and they can see, that depends on their survival. Native Americans were very good at that. That is negative and positive hallucinations. You have been trained to see a certain thing and trained not to see a certain thing. We have to train our people to see that. Like, that is some BS. We have to train them. And it's very hard because we up against phones, Jonathan. We up against phones and the internet and all the other stuff that it's hard. It's very hard. And one thing I'm going to say is I'm no different from that young brother because I was sitting where he was sitting at 20 years ago. I was sitting where he was sitting there, having the same feelings, the same things going on, no different. I can show you a picture of me right now, no different. So it is not to criticize or to beat down on, but to say, I know where you at. Now come along. Because what's going to happen is they're going to drain your energy. You're going to go to prison. You're going to go in a cell. A cell is what? Right? A cell is energy. You're going to go in a cell, maybe for assault and battery. Battery is energy, right? And then you're going to come out and be defeated and just be working a construction job and just trying to get by because you allowed them to play that trick on you. So we got to have a little more patience with the youth because they up against a lot. The struggles that my great-great-grandmother faced, we don't face today. Racism will become more impactful as we believe that society becomes more colorblind. It will become more impactful. Because when we knew who the enemy was, we would fight against the enemy. This is not right. Protest, this and that and that. But now it's become so multicultural that it now works more effectively. It works more effectively. Open racism works. When we knew who the enemy was, we fought against the enemy. Now we don't know who the enemy is. And it's working like a charm.
Oh, they're raising their heads. They're showing us who they are.
They are. But then we're dealing with the hallucination. The idea of good white people, right? We see these so-called good white people. And we have to see them for what they really are. Your brain is a computer. Yes, sir.
Let me tell you something I observed. You said your great-grandmother one time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said it, your pen fell
Oh.
by the plant.
Mm-hmm. I didn't pull libations.
Well,
I didn't pull libations.
Check it out.
Yes.
So I was saying, I said, am I crazy or was that pen dropped all of a sudden?
Right.
So I'm just sitting here saying, you're crazy, check it out. And then you said your great grandmother again.
Mm-hmm.
his bottom water fell.
Yeah, I didn't pour the libations. That is very important to who we are as people, to show respect to the ancestors. I am very critical of all religions, Abrahamic religions. I respect them. I'm very critical of them. We have to be critical. But there is a very African component in those religions, right? Like when you go to white churches, they don't experience the Holy Ghost. That is something that we experience. It is African innately to us to feel that thing. When we go to church, it is a rebirth for us. We are joyful. We have a call and response. That is African. The preacher says something, yes, 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 Lord. We feel it. They sit there, and they do a little hymn, and it's different, right? Because the spirit is different. The spirit is very much different. Now, that's not the case for all churches around the board, obviously. But we do know that there's an African element in that. And so not pouring libations, I definitely got to pour something for my See? T.I. Ashe. I'm telling you, you cannot forget the ancestors.